If you grew up and got your music education in an English-speaking country, you may have missed out on something that makes horn playing a lot easier. I am here with both my silly and highly competent friend, Dr. Natalie Grana, who is a horn player in the Gaudete Brass, a professor at DePaul University, as well as others, and who wrote the book, A Singing Approach to the Horn. Natalie had a big aha moment when she was doing her Fulbright over in Hungary and came to develop a real understanding for how singing and horn playing can relate and support the hornist in becoming a complete and empowered musician. In this episode, we're going to go into all of those specifics and how it can help you and what you can do next if you're not taking advantage of singing in your horn playing. Enjoy the episode. This is Natalie Grana. Welcome to the Holistic Horn Podcast, Natalie Grana.
Yay!
I want to start a little bit with your upbringing on the horn. How did you get started? What was your initial experience with the horn like? And then we'll get into how that changed.
I became enamored with the idea of playing an instrument because my older sister played bassoon. She's 8 years older than me. I was wild about becoming a bassoonist. I used to draw pictures of little panda bears playing bassoon, crayon, honest to God, and little eighth notes in the air above the panda.
Photos or it
And
didn't happen?
Honest, I actually could track it down. They're in my childhood bedroom. But I would show them to the high school band director because I could not wait to be in band. And when fourth grade came, they needed a French horn player, and we did not have a bassoon at the school. So I ended up playing the French horn. Nobody else wanted to do it. I was the weirdest kid. But my mom sang in college, kind of like you do when you're a good Swedish girl at a good Swedish Christian school, North Park University. My dad was in the military and never learned how to read music. So there wasn't a whole lot of like music literacy in the home. First day that I brought my French horn home, I remember my dad asked how you could play more than 3 notes on it because it only had 3 valves, right? So I've now, of course, dedicated a lifetime and a doctorate and a lot of energy toward figuring all that out. But
you're like, Dad, hang on. I'm just trying to figure out how to get one note on this thing.
I'm just trying. Exactly. So anyway, I was just absolutely thrilled at the idea of I think actually really the collaborative part of music. Like it just seemed like so much fun that I get to do this with all my friends, and still to this day. So honestly, I was very green. I did not come at this like having family members that did it, or my sister, but not from some sort of lineage. I suppose is what I mean. It was just an honest to God, like heartfelt, visceral reaction, like wow, was just excited to take part in music. So that's how I started playing the horn.
And what was your initial learning like?
Highly, highly problematic, and people know me now because of how much I like solfege and singing, but brought the horn home. And of course, as we now know, if you push down any given valve, you can get any number of different notes. And I could not make heads or tails. I could kind of read the rhythms on the page, right? But if I push down first valve, how am I supposed to know if I'm playing B flat or D or F? And maybe we've all taught that lesson, even where the first note of the piece is F, and we have a student that scales up to find F, right, to make sure that they're starting on the right note.
Right.
I had absolutely no way of navigating that. To me, it was all sort of this magic of how you would be able to hear the note on the page before you played it. I remember there was a bench outside. The band room was like right across from the main office in 5th grade band after school. And I would sit on that bench and wait for my mom to pick me up from band, which ended at like 4 o'clock or whatever. And I would just sit and cry because everybody else seemed to know where the notes were. With this, I mean, let's be real. Playing a saxophone is basically like blowing into a piano. All these other instruments that had a key for every note or right some more security than we do as horn players. And it wasn't, of course, until much later that I dedicated my career into figuring out how it is that we be able to label something with a very, very acute sense of pitch before we then go to play it. My lack of music literacy before starting the instrument was highly problematic for me. It was all 100% heart and guts and 0% preparation or skill that kept me going from the onset.
You're hitting on the prime question that every French horn player faces. And I grew up playing piano, so I want horn to be like blowing into a piano, like saxophone. Thank you for that image. I'm like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
If we can fast forward a little bit, and we're going to fill in the gaps, of course, but let's fast forward, spoiler alert. What's the solution? How do we actually figure out how to get the note that we want to come out of the horn?
What is the solution? So I decided I wanted to be a music teacher. And for those of you maybe listening or watching that weren't music majors, you have to take a class. It's sort of the Chem 101, if you will, of the music degree, called aural training, or some places call it musicianship, ear training, your musical ear, suffice to say. It was my first time, here I am 18 or however old you are, freshman year of college, doing any sort of actual systematic approach to like, hey, if I put a sheet of music in front of you and you didn't have a piano, you didn't have your horn, you didn't have some way, pitch source to figure out what the notes are, that you could train yourself to look at it and to sing it at sight and to hear the notes on the page. And I remember it's like, oh, heavens part, the clouds go away and there's sunlight. I'm in a beam of sunlight. Wow. This is so helpful. I've been playing the horn for 10 years. This would have been dynamite. Oh, I don't know, 10 years ago. So it was really honestly in that moment. I remember I was playing in a chamber orchestra freshman year, and it was a piece in B major. My first note was top line F sharp. So if you're in B major, sol above do. And for the first time ever, I was like, wait, I could hear where tonic was in the orchestra. So I could hear sol, perfect fifth above it in my head. And I was like, I pushed on trigger 2 and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to play an F sharp. Because until that point, could have been F sharp. What else is trigger 2? Oh, I don't know. The E, a major second below it. Oh, G sharp, a major second above it. Like, how would I know if I was playing E or F sharp or G sharp? Because I could hear it. And so that felt like the most amazing, like I felt like I was going into battle with a sword for the first time, as opposed to like, just like crossing my eyes, like whatever I needed to do to hope that the right note came out. So really, you asked the question of how do we solve this issue of being able to hear, to play better? And the answer is singing. And the answer is solfege. It's this system where we label each note of the scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, with a different syllable. And by labeling it, we can practice these intervallic relationships. We can, you've probably all heard the do, re, mi song from Sound of Music. We can rearrange them in whatever melodic composition and hear them before we play them. And the more that you practice it, the more that you'll find that your ear and then by extension, your lips put everything into place. I find that so many people come to me about like, what are my lips doing? What's my embouchure doing? It becomes so much more intuitive, right? I don't think about my lips or my tongue or whatever when I'm singing or talking. You don't need to do it necessarily that much when you're playing the horn either, if you've got a really clear melodic concept. My solution is practice singing as much as you can. Like, you are the instrument. Your horn is an extension of your musical self.
It brings up a lot of questions for me, more on the advanced side of solfege, but I want to go there. And so, as you just explained, solfege is a way of assigning a name to a note. And there's two kinds of solfege. There's absolute and relative solfege. Do you use different names for those, or does that make sense?
Do you mean like fixed do versus movable do?
Fixed do versus movable do, exactly.
Because absolute, the term absolute we use when we're talking about singing on absolute pitch names, that would be like C, D, E, F, G, A, like letter names.
Yeah. Which is
fixed do.
Which is fixed do.
Right. Fixed versus movable do. has to do with whether or not you sing and assign syllables based on the key that you're in. So if you're in F major, you would be singing F as do, G as re, A as me, etc. Or if you're always, 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 regardless of the key that you're in, singing with C as do, which is called fixed do solfege. So the solfege that I'm speaking in today, as it were, the language that I am using is all movable do because of my training and also my pedagogical beliefs. But I'm not here to claim any sort of supremacy. I like all my fixed doers out there, like don't turn off your radio dials, like I promised. Like
Well, I want
really,
to talk about the pros and cons of each if we can. And
absolutely.
and in perfection, I'm coming to the conversation with a little bit of a bias towards fixed-do myself, based on the way that I've thought through my horn playing. Now, I've probably spent 1/1000th of the time that you have considering this topic and also testing it on the horn. For me, I came to the topic, so I learned numbers, and
Mm.
maybe that's another reason why I'm a proponent of fixed-do is because I know my numbers and I like using numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. When I'm thinking about note names, I want to be able to kind of, if I think fa, I want it to be an F, and I want to remember exactly where an F is and use it as a way to create a recurring word that activates the correct neural network for the note. And so if I say fa, and fa can actually be anything, then I don't have the physical memory of what fa feels like associated with the word. And so
Mhm.
then there's nothing to hang a physical memory of the pitch onto, unless maybe we say, we call it F, I guess you call it F6 and have that be your absolute note names. What do you think?
Did you? Well, actually, I want to ask you a question about something you said earlier, which is that your first training was on numbers,
Yeah.
correct?
Hmm.
So that is, of course, a movable system. Well,
Yeah.
did you do fixed numbers? I don't think that's a thing, is it?
No,
That
no, no,
C
no,
is
no.
always one.
It
It
was
was a movable system. Yeah.
movable system, and it's incredibly important to be able to hear the fifth of the chord.
Right. I find that my students that are jazzers love numbers. Like that just
Hmm.
goes with jazz training. Those tend to be my people that love numbers the most.
Hmm.
It sounds like you like to have syllable association with particular notes, right?
Yeah, and then that lets me sing a passage if I'm reading a passage down, and I can just sing, and I know always know F. And I'm personally a fan of chromatic solfege.
So I'll say that you can think of you're assigning a syllable to always be the same for a particular note.
Hmm.
What movable do instead grants you, which of course is valuable. Like, yes, great. Movable do gives you is fixed intervals, right? Do to fa is always going to be a fourth. Do to sol is always going to be a fifth. Do mi sol is always going to be tonic. I'm saying the same thing for harmony. If you're using fixed do, your harmonies are not always fixed.
That's true.
So
That's right. That's right.
So I tend to look at as melodies as being more a reflection of underlying harmony, and so like I can like rattle off. Does that make sense? Um, like I'm always saying dominant salty ray, and like my brain can plug in those relationships. So whereas you like to
Mhm.
have syllables that stick the same for every note, I like to have implicit relationships within harmonies stay the same. We
Yeah.
just got very technical very fast. I hope that made sense.
Well, it absolutely makes sense to me, although I'm wonder about making sure that all of our listeners are also
Yeah.
coming along
Like,
with
oh,
us.
this just got very heady very fast. Suffice it to say, fixed-do, the syllables always stay the same. So you don't have to worry first of all about like clunky changing, your labeling based on the key that you're in. For movable do, your harmonies are always going to stay the same. One is
Yeah.
always going to be do mi sol, fa is always going to be fa la do, etc., etc.,
Yeah.
etc.
And they both have benefits and drawbacks. Each has its pros and cons, and I want to make our audience know that they can choose. So they have options, and then we're going to get into what you learned during your Fulbright and then kind of explain how players can take this home and make it their own. So how about we start there? What did you discover during your Fulbright about this?
Yeah. So basically, what ended up happening for like fast forwarding, I told you about my experience as a freshman in college. And here I am now just totally awash in like this new superpower I feel like I have because I can look at the page and hear the notes on the page first. And that just sat with me. It very much became a part of my personal practice. And then fast forward, okay, I'm in my doctorate now. And I wanted to like just make my teaching more robust and dip a toe into giving master classes. Like this was something I needed to do as an academic and wanted to pick something that was important to me. And of course, this had always been in the back of my mind, like, I should really figure out this singing thing and be more methodical about it. Of course, again, this is something I've been doing in my own head and my own practice for a very long time, but I wanted to be more structured. I did my undergraduate in music education, and so I had an appreciation for what it is to really be able to sequence instructing somebody to do something, including myself. So I dove into different methods for oral training, and then through the lens of how we could apply it directly to playing the instrument. And I immediately fell in love as I'm going through, combing through all of these books and different methods and whatnot. Fell in love with a music, I'll say he's a composer and a music philosopher, if you want, and pedagogue named Zoltán Kodály. It looks like Kodaly, if you've seen it, maybe written out Koda apostrophe Ly, but in Hungarian you pronounce Kodály. And he was upset. This is 20th century we're talking about. Was upset. We've unfortunately lost Kodály, but he has given us so much in his time on Earth. He was upset with the standard of music education in the schools in Hungary, and he was besties with Béla Bartók, who also, of course, used a lot of Hungarian folk song and influence in his compositions. And so they went about collecting. It was sort of like ethnomusicology before ethnomusicology, collecting Hungarian folk songs and then systematically using them within the Hungarian classroom. And so Bartók, not so much on the teaching part, but Kodály. They codified this approach to music education that was all based on, first, you're singing songs, you're moving, there's lots of games and things involved. It's sort of like Inception musical learning, like you're playing games, you're like whatever, and at the same time you don't realize that you're like maintaining an eighth note pulse and repeating this song, and then you extract musical concepts from this song that you've now sung and ingrained, right? I've seen like children move across the room in one direction when they're hearing a one chord. They don't know it's a one chord. But when they hear it change to a dominant chord, they don't know it's a dominant chord. They're supposed to walk the other direction, right? Things like that. It's very intuitive. The process is so intuitive because rather than like I would say American approach, sorry, America, where we tend to approach things concept and then example, right? Like I'm like looking for my theory textbook right here. It's like, let's talk about the one chord or whatever, two chord. And then it like describes what it is. And then like, here's like 3 examples from like a Beethoven piano sonata or something. You engage with the music first as like a human with like human musical sense. And then it's like, oh, by the way, did you know you just sang a 1-2-5-1 progression? Like, oh, really? Oh yeah, I hear that now. Everything is also vocally based. Like like I said, you're singing, you're playing games. And you build a repertoire of folk songs. And over time, you just find that like the solfege is sort of like found you. I used to watch a Hungarian teacher with kindergartners. And she would, her little warm-up activity was Jó napot kívánok, which is so me, so me. It's a falling minor third. It's actually one of the most like sticky intervals we have. Think about it. Na 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 na. Like it's all over like children, it's very sticky interval. Anyway, so she would go around the room to each child. Jó napot kívánok. Did I ever say that means good morning? Good morning in Hungarian.
Oh, that's nice.
And so then the little kids go like, Jó napot kívánok. And then she'd go to one kid and his job or her job was to sing it back, but on a different rhythm. They could go, Yona pod kivanok, or Yona pod kivanok, whatever. They're just practicing sol mi,
Different
right?
notes.
They could change them in whatever configuration they want, all on the words Yona pod kivanok.
Okay.
And then later, they're practicing sol mi on the board with actual written rhythms. I'm sorry, yeah, actual written notes and rhythms on a staff, but they've already practiced sol mi on good morning, right?
Yeah.
So things like this that are just, it's like fun musical games and learning, and then like, oh wait, I could sing sol mi, no problem, right? Now that's a very elementary example. But I've seen the same thing with what is your name? What is your name? My name's Evelyn, or whatever around the room. It's it's enchanting because it's so simple, but it's so effective, and the kids are all
Yeah, get
smiling while they're doing it. Oh, it's
stuck
my
in there.
turn.
Yeah. Should we record the rest of the podcast on Soul and Me?
Let's keep talking.
Okay.
The book that I wrote and the process that I learned in Hungary is, it starts with folk songs, very simple folk songs that you sing while you finger along, and then you play on the instrument. And it also starts, this is another Kodaly process, by tone set. That sounds fancy. It really just means that we start with just like 3 solfege syllables. Our first whole little chunk of songs are just do, mi, sol. So you really practice getting those 3 in your ear. And then we fill it out. Do, re, mi, sol, do, re, mi, sol, la, do, re, mi, sol, la, do. And we fill in like to get to the entire scale, so that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, easy peasy in our ears. And then we transition to actual, like what I would think of as the most like germane horn literature that forms our canon, and gets progressively harder. So everything from Mozart concerti to Koprash etudes, like the whole thing. But the goal is, by the end of the book, you can look at these horn pieces and, again, very vividly hear the notes on the page before you sing them. Also, that you have developed what I'll call your polyphonic sense. This is something I think that we really, really struggle with as horn players. Polyphonic meaning, it's the definition is in the word itself. Poly meaning many, and phonic meaning sounds. It's our ability to think and hear in multiple parts. So ultimately, what we want to be able to do, we've heard this advice from teachers before. Can you hear the clarinet line while you're playing the Beethoven 8 trio part? Oh, you're like, yeah, I can. And then you realize to actually audiate or to hear a second line while you're playing another one is actually a very sophisticated set of skills. So I give you sort of ways to train that as well, to train your polyphonic sense and to hear and think in multiple lines.
Well, that's cool. So it's a workbook, it sounds like, or like you practice through the book. It's a
Yes, it's an
guide.
etude book. Right. It's got exercises in it. It's not like a book you like sit and read. It's a book you have out on your stand with your French horn.
Is there a way that we could give, say, the first chapter to listeners of the podcast?
Yeah, or certainly like some little excerpts that they could, not excerpts like, well, excerpts like excerpts, but excerpts from different parts of the book that they might like be able to dabble with. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, there's also a companion website that goes with it. So you can click and like sing along with me, play along with me, either in unison or in parts, so that you can like make sure that you're, if you're like, am I singing this right? Like I'm there. I got you, girl.
We'll drop a link in the show notes for folks.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm pretty proud of it. It was actually my my COVID project because, hey, like, no gigs, right? And I was teaching over Zoom some, but like life was in stasis. So I like finally like sat down and wrote the dang thing. So here it is. La la.
Well, thank you so much for doing that. And also, I saw you present this at IHS, or one of the regional horn workshops. I saw you present it, and it was really powerful. I saw people in the room lighting up as they did it. So I'm glad that there's a resource that people anywhere in the world can get and study and practice through.
That was actually a blast. You and me in Orlando, Florida, University of Central Florida. I remember it well. Yeah. I got to see you also present some of the coolest loop pedal stuff I didn't even know you could do with the loop pedal.
Uh-huh.
Incredible.
Well, sorry for the interruption, but if you are a horn player and you struggle with high range, confidence, accuracy, consistency, or endurance, this is of interest to you. I am still running my program High Range Magic that has offered profound transformation to folks that want to unlock the high range and all of its benefits. There is a masterclass linked below that you can watch for free, 100% free, 3 Secrets of High Playing. After you watch the masterclass, you'll have an option to book a no-cost one-on-one consult with me if you're interested in finding out more about the program. That's all for now. Back to the episode. So how do you use solfege in your own practice and performance?
I'll say, like, just from a hyper practical standpoint, I am so much a better sight reader than I was before. Oh my gosh. And I play in a professional brass quintet, the Gaudete Brass. And most like we play actually a lot of different things. We do everything from, like full blown. We actually have a recital in 2 weeks. That we're doing during like Midwest Clinic is in Chicago. We're going to be performing at the Fine Arts Building that same week. Just we've got lots of friends in town. It's sort of a recital / party. But anyway, so we do everything from full blown recitals to we'll do residencies and in like also school concerts for high schools, all that sort of thing. But we're also in residence at this big grand Catholic church it's like the Pashi Pashi in Chicago. And I cannot tell you how often we are like sight reading something and it's like, here it is. And it's on your stand. And like, oh, this is what the bride wants. I'm like, all right, cool, great. So like, this is happening in 15 seconds. Okay, here we go. And that ability to be able to hear in real time is like, it just completely saves me. I honestly don't know what I would do without it.
There are so many horn players that complain, for lack of a better word, about their sight reading not being up to snuff. They really want to improve their sight reading. They struggle with knowing whether they're on the right note or not. It's a little tricky. The question is coming up. You look at your part and you see a written A. You have no way of knowing often, because the horn and F part may not even have a key signature, what key you're in for this entrance. So how do you think about that? Let's say you're sight reading something and it's a double bar and you start a new section and it starts, it's a solo and there's an A and you don't know what key it's in. Does solfege come into play for you because you don't know what key it's in?
This is actually back to this whole podcast could have been about, fixed dough versus movable dough and like, that is, of course, one of the advantages, I would say, of being literate in both, which I would consider myself dangerous in fixed dough. Literate in movable dough for sure, and dangerous in fixed dough. But having different ways of labeling and different strategies is so important, because you're right. We do come to these moments where ultimately, like, there might not be a tonic or a key signature, in which case, like, we have to maybe not use movable dough, where we have these established harmonic relationships to really help us.
But it's not the end of the world if you see an A, and if you're like most horn players, you've been playing in written F horn C major a lot, and you see that A and you go, la, all right, cool. Like, worst case, like la, that's fine,
Yeah, I think in a lot of cases you can think intervallically, right? That might help you. Certainly, maybe if it's not the case, if you're sight reading, but if it's something that and that note is present, or like has a stable intervallic relationship with somebody else that's playing, that can always be hugely helpful. It also help you play it in tune, right? If you're trying to make the whatever given interval sound correctly. If your question is like, do we need to be able to adapt with different systems? The answer is absolutely yes. Like, in the end, it's really about what makes something ring in your head the most intuitively, which is why I say I don't claim supremacy over any one particular system. It's what works for your brain.
Yeah, for sure. I was talking to this horn player, Luis Garcia. I asked him about his approach to accuracy, and he said he sings every single note, he's singing solfege in his head, but it fixed so that he can be singing bleep bloop music and all over the place, liggity or whatever, and no question about what syllable to use.
Can I
Oh
share
yeah,
a wonderful quote from Randy Gardner? He
yeah.
says that an approximate sense of pitch is like an approximate phone number. And I love that. It's like you're off by one digit, but girl, you're still ringing up the wrong house. Like, isn't that fabulous? I love that. The first time he said that, I like died laughing. I was tears.
Whew, it kind of makes me sweat and cry and sweat a little bit. So anyway, Luis said that he's constantly singing solfege when he's playing, even when he's warming up. He's just singing solfege every single moment, which coheres with what Arnold Jacobs taught, which was to be singing in your mind what you're playing, so that your verbal mind is occupied in a musical process.
Mm-hmm.
And now what you've got regarding, let's just say that it's simple, do, mi, sol, mi, do. It works great for our harmonic series
It
and
does.
all
It
that kind of
does.
stuff. Aside
Yeah.
from the 11th and 7th harmonics, but well,
I actually have started writing another book that I'm only like, I want to say I'm knee deep in it. I'm like heel deep in it right now. I have an
yeah.
11-month-old though, where I've started writing songs that only use the overtone series. So do mi sol te do re mi fa sol or fa sol because it's very sharp.
Yeah.
So different tone sets. Whereas my Kodaly book is more based on like the pentatonic scale, like kind of the more
We need that, by the
traditional.
way. I need those songs. Like, please sign me up. I'll prepay. Like,
It's so
whatever.
wonderful. So
Yeah.
so it's all singing harmonic series songs, and they're silly. Like there's silly Kodaly style songs, like it's like
Oh.
"Lady Under the Apple Tree," which is so so mi 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 so do do. It's just a mi so do song just to get E, G, and C in your brain. Um,
I'm like, lady under the apple tree, she doesn't have no apples.
you're just gonna like to like make it into like a Wagner epic. It's the same procedure, but only using overtones because my other great love is alp horn and natural horn. Well, I don't claim to be a natural hornist, but I just love playing on the open horn.
Yeah, yeah,
From a tone
yeah.
production standpoint. I know I'm the singing lady, but I also have like a lot of like tone production beliefs. You know, I'm not like, oh, put it on your forehead and it'll still sound good.
What are your beliefs about tone production? If we want to rabbit trail in there for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big F side of the horn lady. Like,
Yeah,
listen, you pay for both sides of it, as Gail Williams says, you get to use both sides of the horn. But I love so much of my practice besides singing is spent playing things like slowly on the F side. One of my favorite things at the start of the day, it's just to play slow F horn scales over my full range, whatever that full range might be at the moment, you know, depending on like either how much I've slept or how dehydrated I am or, you know, how great I feel. Slow slurred F horn scales over the full range. And it just feels like a body horn hug, you know, to kind of center myself that way.
yeah,
But if I've got like wide leapy stuff like Alec Wilder or something to contend with, I'll play it slowly on the F side just to be like, okay, like, and that's where it is. And then when I push my B flat side down, it just feels like easy button. But I'm also a girl that runs in a weighted vest, you know, so like I'm the sort that's like, let's overtrain. And then when it comes time to do it, it's just like, oh yeah, like
I'm a
no
huge
problem.
believer in that. I'm prepping Brandenburg 1 and Brandenburg 2, the trumpet part. I'm playing them in the same concert, and I'm playing them on a single F horn in my practice.
Oh my God.
But then I'm gonna have a high F horn
Right.
for the
Yes. And
concert. It's like, yes,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
much
You're just gonna
easier
shred. Yeah. That's awesome.
because
That's
I don't want to
awesome.
worry about it. When you're playing, are you singing the solfege syllables in your head? What does that look like? Walk us through how you approach it.
I'm singing solfege syllables in my head. And I'll tell you also, like, I am an anxious person. Like, I
Yeah,
get nervous before performances. And I have found that, I mean, we've heard this 1,000 times, right? The more you tell yourself not to be nervous, inevitably you get more nervous. And so for me personally, Natalie, rather than telling myself don't do something, I instead give myself something to do. And if I can just be like, brain, sing solfege, like just pretend you're at Loyola, like singing in front, because singing is like, like whatever, I can sing. You can sing, anybody can sing. As soon as I direct my brain toward doing that, it's like, beep, and then I'm just like, I'm locked in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely giving the mind, the verbal mind, something to do other than worry, analyze, predict, reflect, hypothesize. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is totally your territory now that I'm delving into. For me, it's about redirection, rather than trying to I love that I have lots of energy when I go on stage. It's just not always my friend. And so if I put that energy into something happy, like singing, then I've given my brain something to do. Since I've developed what I think is a fairly strong sense of a polyphonic sense, I'm also audiating whatever. It's like, okay, now you should see my quintet music also. It's littered. I am the market up girl for sure. With a face like this, you don't get the brains too. So I got to write it in or I forget it. Just kidding. Just kidding.
False.
Just kidding. So I mark it in to remember, okay, I need to listen for this person. So audiating secondary lines, singing my own line, that kind of thing.
I run into this all the time. Horn players who say I can't sing. And quite frequently, they're also not doing as great on the horn as we know that they could, which I don't think is a coincidence. But what do you say to horn players who say, "Oh, I can't sing. I don't want to sing. I'm shy to sing"? How do you help them to open that up?
So first of all, I reassure them. Actually, I loved that the first question you asked me in this podcast was what was your musical upbringing? Because a lot of times, well, remember that I teach not just horn. I also teach, in addition to studio horn teaching, which is most of what I do, I also teach classroom solfege and or musicianship, and everybody has to take it. And so I get these students who think that somehow I came out of the earth singing solfege,
Right.
and I'm like, sweetheart, my dad was in the Marine Corps. This is not something I've done forever either. And I tell them freshman year, I'm like, I want you to know you sitting in that chair right now is exactly me. I had this much experience with this before you did. So I think there's some debunking of, hey, I wasn't on this train early enough, or it's too late for me, or I don't do this.
Basically changing from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. I can't sing, I didn't sing, no, it's just off limits, I'll never be good at it, to, yeah, of course, if I invest a little time, I'll just get better and better and better and better.
Right. And I'll also tell my students, I kind of joke with this, but I'll say, or they'll tell me I'm really bad at this, or I can't do the syllables or whatever. And I'll say, you are new at this. You are not bad at this. That is those are different things. And then I joke and say, I'll tell you at the end of sophomore year if you're bad at it. It's not true.
Oh, that's
not
a good one.
true. But in the same way that if you took Italian, if you started studying Italian and after 2 days you were like, well, I can't speak in full sentences yet. Well, yeah, no, duh. You spent 2 days on. You have to appreciate the process as being just like the horn. Nothing happens overnight. But with steady and consistent, not a huge amount, but steady and consistent dedication to it, you will see huge dividends. Oh, as an aside, speaking of being a beginner, during the pandemic, besides writing a book, and I got married, my other pandemic project was I really wanted to learn to swim. I never learned how to swim. And I remember going to this swimming class, and of course we're all socially distanced, but my husband and I were in one corner of the pool. And the teacher said, okay, the first thing we're going to do is a front float. And the first exercise was literally just floating on your stomach, flat in the pool. And I was like, okay, fine. Wow, what a great, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I kept my legs weren't, I couldn't get my whatever proportion balance. And I will tell you, taking that swimming class was one of the best things I did for my teaching in ages. Besides going to Hungary, I would say, because I hadn't been a rank, honest to God beginner at something in so long. And I was just whoa,
Yeah.
So anyway, so growth mindset, I'll say pedagogically, I'll do a lot of times if I have a student that just honest to God will not sing, which is very, very, very rarely happened. I will occasionally ask them to hum instead. Somehow, for some reason, that seems to have, I think people judge the timbre of their own voices, and like humming is somehow less like timbre style, you know. So I can usually get them to hum. I will sing a lot with them in unison, which isn't great from a ear development standpoint. But if it is a means whereby if I first sing with you together and then you sing by yourself, that's usually another good hook. Using those two things, also setting a drone. So sometimes they're not singing by themselves can also be like a little bit of a like security. Linus with the security blanket can be helpful. So there are ways of solving it. It's not like I will tell you, I've been doing this for a while now, and I don't think I've ever actually had a student that just flat out after using those tactics like would not sing in a
That makes
lesson.
sense. Those are some helpful tips. Now, what I imagine is if someone's getting started, that they might do something like do mi sol mi do, and then think and then sing it and then think it again while they play it. Like the only thing that was different that last time was my mind was going do mi sol mi do. Is that how you have people do it, or is there any kind of thing you'd add to that or change about that?
So the only thing that would be different would be I wouldn't have them play it first. I'd have them
Oh.
just sing first. The last thing you do is pick up the horn. So
Where
um
would they get the pitch from?
I'll usually play like a tonic chord on the piano.
Oh, I see, I see.
So I'll get them grounded in whatever the key is. Yeah. Or like if I'm having them sing something for the first time, maybe we do something like we sing a song they already know that we've learned in the same key. And then it's like, okay, here's this new thing in the same key. And then they're like kind of like already grounded in that key and like ready to go. They would sing first and then usually buzz it on the mouthpiece because buzzing's like singing through
Yeah,
uh
yeah,
singing through the
yeah,
mouthpiece,
yeah.
and then horn last. If they don't have great left hand, then I would probably also have them singing with fingers
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
play.
Fantastic. Any other tips or unblocks or weird, funny hacks that you've discovered that can help people in their journey of solfege, singing, and horn playing?
I've got students that have like really gotten into it. Like I teach a lot of adult amateurs actually. And sometimes like they want bang for their buck like on their morning commute. And so sometimes I'll tell them to like see if they can solfege what's on the radio, depending on what they listen to. You know, like if they've got like top 40 on, generally songs actually aren't very hard. They're usually very melodically straightforward. I'd say like the most important thing is just applying it to the repertoire that forms your life, right? Like one of the things I think that happens so often, like I know this happened to me even in undergrad, is that like oral training is like kind of this class that you do and like you kind of do it because like you're supposed to do it, I guess. And then it somehow never like makes the jump onto your stand and in your bell and in your
Right.
mind and your life. So just using it like seeing it as being a tool, as an asset to make horn playing easier rather than like, oh, this is like one more thing I have to practice. It's like, no, it's all the same thing, right? You're just training yourself to rely less on the instrument and more on your innate musical sense.
Right. Yep. Yep. Oh, beautiful. I've got what came to mind a tip around singing and horn playing if I can share.
Please.
It's a
Yes.
surprising
I'm
one.
always learning too. Yes, yes, yes.
What I learned is that this is more about a tone production thing, but I'll play a note and then I'll stop playing and not change anything about my embouchure or my oral cavity, my tongue, my embouchure, all of that. Leave it exactly where it was when I was playing, and then take the horn down and just sing a note, sing that same note, and see how it sounds. And very often I'll find, oh, there's a way to really open the pitch. And then I come back and I open the pitch and change my oral cavity and I go back and play with that sound, and the timbre will evolve in a really beautiful way. I'll give an example. Right? that's way more like kind of the tone that I want. And completely change, like, oh my God, everything's ringing in my room as I'm playing that.
Have you explored any of Eli Epstein's stuff around like syllables and like tongue placement within the mouth?
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like truly fascinating. Yeah, I don't claim like I should not even like talk too much about it because I will not do justice to it. But right, the idea that different syllables, I mean, like again, we use all the same mechanics to speak and to sing that we do to play the horn. It only makes sense that they would be, you know, have a significant relationship. But anyway, for those of you listening and watching, like Google Eli Epstein. I think it's horn playing from the
Elevators,
inside
horn
out.
playing from the inside out. That's the name of the book.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He talks about how you can think all like different syllables for different placement within the range, and it's all very cool.
Yeah, that exercise will optimize making the best sound given a placement. Like my tongue needs to be super high in order to play a high note, you know. If I want to play that one, it's like really, really high, but I can kind of sing my way. Ooh, and find a better sound that I really like. Ooh. And it's just like a little bit, it gets more open as I do that work.
Can we do karaoke next time we're together IRL?
Absolutely. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, I am well, can I give you two divas? It's really about two divas that I like
Okay.
their catalogs. I'm either deep Celine Dion or Mariah Carey, one of those two.
Okay, I'll raise you with Christina Aguilera.
I like the thought of you singing Genie in a Bottle, just like I can't. Like
It's not going on my
can we
YouTube.
like pinky swear it over this week? Yes.
Not
Oh
going
my
on
God.
YouTube, but yeah, pinky swear. Just between you and me.
I love it.
And whoever else is there. Well, this has been fascinating and inspiring, Natalie. I'm going to prepare my Brandenburgs with a little bit more solfege now that we've talked about this. I want to ask you a few final kind of rocket round questions. So, first question, what's something that you're listening to in your Spotify right now?
Well, besides, I should say we're recording this on Thursday, December 4th, and I like to listen to a different Christmas album every morning, starting the morning after yes. Starting the morning after Thanksgiving. So this morning, what was it? I think it was Pentatonic's Christmas album I was listening to. But also I mean I listened to everything, like the like Bing Crosby and
Aw.
all the classics, all that stuff. But otherwise, I love Adele. I think she's incredible. I listened to her while I cooked dinner a lot. Fleetwood Mac, another favorite. What else has been on my Spotify recently? Sia's on there.
I don't know them.
Sia, SIA, Sia. She did like Chandelier and Cheap Thrills and yeah. Andrew Bird, he's coming to Chicago. He comes to Chicago every December. He's another favorite of mine. Those are sort of my top. I would say my top artists that I always like when they send you your Spotify wrap up. They always get top
Oh, nice.
billing.
Nice.
Yeah. But
Mine's
what are
like,
you listening
mine's
to?
like yoga nidra meditation is my top Spotify track. It's embarrassing. Uh,
What is your favorite Christmas album? I should ask this.
I don't know if I have a favorite Christmas album. I was hearing I really like, there's these like very symphonic, jazzy brass. I would say the Duke Ellington
Oh yeah,
Nutcracker,
those are good.
that kind of stuff really floats my boat. That really floats my boat.
The Boston Brass did like a Stan Kenton Christmas. I got to play with them when they were here a
Stan
couple of years
Kenton, yeah,
ago.
yeah,
Those albums are really fun. Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of brass players, who's a brass player that inspires you and why?
Oh my goodness, there's absolutely so many. You mentioned Arnold Jacobs earlier, who of course, for those of you listening, he was principal tubist with the Chicago Symphony for decades, and he only had functional use of one lung. And he, of course, is now most famous for Song and Wind. It's this concept that really all great brass playing, really all great wind playing could be broken down into song, your sense of pitch, right? Everything we talked about today, and then wind, the air that you blow through the instrument. And I think it was such a wonderful departure from so much of the really, really like pedantic, like very technical approach to playing. He was all about like ease and playing relaxed rather than with a lot of tension and this clear aural concept. So obviously he's inspired so much of my pedagogy for sure. He was also a fixed dough person, by the way, Mars. So you've got solidarity with Arnold Jacobs. And then of course I have to say Randy Gardner and Bernard Scully were my yes, like they truly inspire me. I know this is such a Hallmark card thing to say, but like they're just such outstanding musicians and people, like just like of the highest integrity and like just people that I was glad to shape me as a person and as a player. So I adore them. Like I just can't say enough good things. I'm like getting like kind of emotional thinking about it. Actually, like the gratitude is so strong. So anyway, I'm sending love to both of them.
Me too. I've been getting to know Randy better and better. I finally met him in person. I was playing in Philly, and it was a big, like an 8-horn piece. And I was playing 7th horn, and he was playing 8th horn, and I didn't know. I showed up, and there's Randy Gardner sitting next to me, and I'm like on my right, on my bell side. I'm warming up. I'm like, oh my God, it's Randy Gardner. I've never met him before. Yeah. Eventually, about 5 minutes in, I turned to him. I said, Randy, can I just confess that I'm really nervous warming up with you to my right because you're a legend? And we just had this beautiful, he totally put me at ease, and we had a wonderful time playing together, and it was fabulous, and it's been great getting to know him since then.
I was his graduate assistant for my doctorate. So he was actually the one when I first was doing all this preliminary solfege stuff and for my DMA. He was my coach, and I just adore him. He's like the best ever, ever, ever.
Final rocket round question. If you could put anything on a billboard for horn players to think about, contemplate, integrate, recite as a mantra, what would you put on there?
My God. Sing it, hear it, love it.
Oh, sing it, hear it, love
Go.
it. That's going to be the title of this podcast.
Oh, I love it. No, that's perfect.
Thank you so much for coming on. People can find you on Facebook as Natalie Grana, Instagram at Natalie D. Grana. The book, A Singing Approach to Horn Playing, is available on Amazon and is published by Oxford University Press. We'll have a link to that. Do you have a website of your own as well?
I do also have a personal website. It should come up if you just Google my name.
Anyway, thank you, Natalie. It's such an honor and a pleasure. I hope that if people want to grab lessons with you, can they reach out to you for that, online lessons?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We'll put all that in the show notes so people can reach you.
Yeah, fabulous. Or any burning, solfege questions, horn questions, whatever. I'm here.
Amazing. Thank you for your service to the horn world. Thank you for your musicianship. Thank you for your fabulous cheetah leopard fashion.
That's right. That's right. Somewhere between Miss Piggy and Dolly Parton. That's basically where I live.
Hope to have you on the podcast another time.
Yes. Oh, thank you for having me, Mars.
Hope you enjoyed the podcast. This episode is brought to you by High Range Magic, my online program that helps horn players liberate their high range as well as reach new levels of relaxation and ease throughout the full range of the horn, and also to kind of reclaim a beautiful new paradigm of relationship and mindset with the instrument. If that sounds interesting to you, head over to highrangemagic.com and you can register to watch the free masterclass I have, How to Confidently Enjoy a 4+ Octave Range Without Pain, Overthinking, or Constantly Practicing. That's over at highrangemagic.com. Thanks again.